Good day to everybody. This is a beautiful day, and this is a new little station that I've started up myself, thanks to my friend Mike in Australia, who's running the Seventh Sense community. And part of that community, we have a few different people running their own shows. One of them's Kimra Mutiny, and she's doing some great stuff. More of well, she's covering all kinds of things, but more of a feminine sort of perspective on things, I suppose. And we've got a guest here with us today, Brandon from Glastonbury, which we'll have on in a minute. And I met him in Glastonbury. He seemed like a really good guy, quite, I was going to say balanced, quite balanced, good guy. So, but yeah, I'll just say a little bit what Awakening Earth is about. It's about bringing together groups of people who feel a calling to help Mother Earth, or help themselves and move forward in their life, find direction and soul purpose, I think is a big thing with all this. So the topics are anything to do with helping the planet, really. So whatever really helps serve the planet and the people, And we will be having like consciousness raising music on here at times. Actually, I should remember to bring my guitar in, so I'll give you a little song a bit later. But and yeah, we have musicians and writers and a bit of poetry at times, So it's really cool to bring out the best of the people who come on board, and they can share what they're here to share, which I think is really cool. And apart from that, just this will be a regular sort of thing. So, and if you want to check out what's going on, you can point your browser to awakening.earth to see what's new and on the show, sort of thing. So without further ado, we'll bring on Brandon now and see what he's been up to. How you doing, mate?
Hiya, alright?
Yeah, I'm pretty good today. I'm just looking out over this beautiful landscape here, because we're in Dorset here. This is where the studio is. Which the studio comprises of, like, my laptop and a nice little recording interface. So
Awesome.
But yeah, really enjoying this weather that's coming, with everything that's going on with the lockdown and all that. It's like, it's so nice to get some warmth, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we've had any rain in Glastonbury so far since it all sort of kicked off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the weather suddenly got good, and then the streets were empty, weren't they? Because I was there a couple of weeks ago, So, anything exciting going on for you?
Yeah, every day is exciting, man. Yeah.
That's the one.
Meeting loads of people, been drumming away, lots of sound healing.
Yeah.
And amazing events like this, like just talking to you now on this radio show.
Oh, so good, isn't it? I think
it's pretty cool.
It's good to feel like you've got some form of community at times, and while there's some sort of shady characters in Glastonbury at times, there's definitely a truth beyond it all, and you find your tribe, the people who are. But I can't walk down the street in Glastonbury without getting talked to, like, 10 times or something ridiculous. I'm like, forget my mission of what I was actually trying to do, So good on you if you can stay focused out there,
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit easier. I don't think I get 10 people down the street like you, but yeah, it's interesting meeting new people. You've got to be very present and kind of look under the hood with people, because like you say, there are some I don't know about shady, but just a little bit out of alignment with their path, and kind of has caused a lot of maybe pain, and sort of that's come up with personality disorders. But yeah, sometimes it can throw you off a bit, some of the things they come out with, but you just got to remain grounded and kind of look inside yourself, what is true for you. Just be really, really present and grounded. Yeah.
No, I think that's the thing there, and I think really for someone especially like me who's quite sensitive, it's I was affected by it when I first went there. The first 3 days I was all over a bit, like it's weird. There's sort of this vibe thing, a cool vibe and all that, you know. And I realised it wasn't my truth, you know, and sort of just took a few days to sort of manage to stay myself more, you know, sort of thing, which is interesting. But I think there's a lot of friction, sort of energy there. There's a lot is being brought up, you know, and I think anyone who is suppressing too much, it's you know, the energy can be a bit chaotic. Whereas, like, if you're trying to stay clear, you know, and present in your life, then it kind of helps in a place like that. But
yeah. For me personally, the first couple of weeks, I'd say, living in Glastonbury and walking through the high street quite regularly, it was really intense, actually. Wow. Just the high street, especially. So like, I was almost knocked out of all the kind of emotional things that were going on inside. It was so turbulent. Wow, yeah. But something just clicked after those 2 weeks where I just like was very I sort of adapted to it, kind of grew spiritually in myself enough that the outside energies weren't having such an effect on my system, if that makes sense.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
So it kind of forced an evolution in me personally, which was amazing, really. I think everybody's very evolved in this area, especially. Of course, there's a global evolution going on right now. We're all going through that. But it seems like Glastonbury with the tour and everything is kind of a sort of, not base, but kind of a focus point for that. And it's kind of growing out from there, as well as other places.
Yeah, I mean, I feel from what I've experienced, the southwest of England, I mean, up north is nice too, and it's a bit more relaxed, but down this way, you can really feel the difference in the energy, and I think people will relate to that who are sensitive, you know, all over the world, wherever people are listening from on the radio right now. But Glastonbury is, you know, meant to be sort of the spiritual heart of England, for those of you who don't know, you know. But I think there's a lot of places, you know, that are, but there's a certain area, which is the southwest of England, where things seem to mellow out a little bit, and you can feel it, literally. I feel it coming past the New Forest, which is in the centre of the south of England, and everything just calms down and people seem to be more relaxed. There's less stress, and that's really cool for a person like me. As I say, you know, I'm kind of sensitive to things, and I kind of like it that way, because I think that sensitivity helps you navigate through your life and know what people to talk to, you know, when to leave a situation, and just navigate your general life. And to be in touch with that is a great asset in this time where people are, you know, many people are more lost in that regard, you know. They're just following the script, you know, or the TV or the media, or, you know, what they think they should do. So it's really nice to be breaking out of that. And one of the things we're going to talk about is about power and that, and feeling in your power and how to get in your power. I'm not sure what you had to say with that, Brandon.
Yeah, before we move into that, it would be great to talk a little bit more about the sensitivity that you were talking about just then. Have you always been sensitive since you were young? Because I've got a story personally about that, but I was wondering what your perspective is.
Yeah, I'll just say a bit about mine. I suppose when young as a child, I was a sensitive person and didn't sort of realise it, you know. So when my family and people around me were, I suppose they were suppressing a lot, you know. There was a lot of stress, definitely. I can remember a lot of stress energy. And I've soaked a lot of that up. And what's interesting was last night, I was remembering a healing session I did a few years ago where energy from my childhood, from the people around me, you know, the voice of people around me, their stress, I had internalized, and I could actually, you know, sort of hear that voice of my family in my head there, and the anxiety that came with it. So I do think children soak things up a lot, you know, and so sort of growing up, I then sort of numbed out a lot when I got to my teens, you know, smoking a lot and drinking and all that, and sort of came through that again and unmasked all that. I can remember when I stopped smoking, and it was like, oh my God, I just felt like really vulnerable. I can remember walking down the street, and it was like as if I didn't have my, you know, my powerful cloak or something, you know. It was that that big for me, because I've been smoking, you know, for years at that point. So now anyway, you know, the sensitivity's turned to an asset where I can sort of deal with that rather than having to numb life out to sort of cope, you know. So it's really cool. It's a really good thing, I feel, you know. Enjoy it, you know.
Wow, that's great that you're sort of using that now. You're utilizing it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and for the music, you know, because as a musician, you know, you want to really be able to convey your message with that emotional depth. And I think the less numb you are, you know, the more beautiful the music is, and you can go from the anger, if you want to the sadness, to the joy, you know, in one song probably.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really, really well put, actually.
Yeah,
For me personally, with my sensitivity, because I'm quite sensitive too, I would say. Started when I was quite young as well, and kind of lots of emotions going on in childhood as well, a bit similar to you, I think. But the thing that I really put forward was the observational skills. Like, you know, all these emotions, they feel really hard and they hurt a lot. So I was sort of asking the question, why do they hurt so much, and why do people behave this way? So I started to look at that, really.
Yes, that's
and
good.
look beyond the words. You know, there's always a reason people say these things, or you know, do these actions. There's always a reason behind it. And I can tell you an experience in high school where that became very obvious. There was a bully in English class right next to me, and you know, he'd bug me every lesson or so. But this one time I was really fed up with it, and you know, I looked really fed up and sort of downtrodden.
Yeah.
Poor me. But yeah, he sort of was bugging me and could see that I was different that day, in a different kind of space. And then he asked me this question. He said, "Is there anything going on at home?"
Really?
And I said yes. There wasn't really anything going at home that serious, but I said yes just to get him off my back if it would help. So I said yes. And then he said, "Oh, all right." Sort of understanding almost.
Wow.
And he didn't bug me that entire day.
That's interesting.
And what reinforced that even more is that the person next to him said over his shoulder, "Oh, little girl problems at home." And the bully said, "Shut up," to him.
Wow.
So like, you know, it's very clear that something was going on at home with him, and he was relating with me through that.
Yeah,
So, you know, he's got a lot of stuff going at home. It may have been. And then you start to look at, you know, other parts of that person's life. For example, he had a sister who was very popular, very admired by her parents, and she was sort of almost like a golden child. Like, you know, everybody looks to her, but kind of neglects the brother, which was the bully. So, you know, it's clear that that must have sort of hurt a lot, and maybe he wouldn't admit it, but...
Well, that's it, isn't it? A lot of the times, people, it's hard for them to tell the truth and actually admit what's going on, and that's where the suppression comes in, isn't it? But that totally makes sense, and it's good that you began to see, you know, the reasons for these behaviours, and, you know, of course, you still have to sort of protect your boundaries in that, but it's like, it's really good being aware of it, because you just understand more, don't you? It's like my mum and, you know, my family have expressed their experience to me, and I'm thinking to myself, God, I wish you told me as a kid, because I wouldn't have acted up so, you know, being so angry and whatever, because I would have understood where you were at, you know, and because in that expression, you know, in being authentic with someone, it allows that other person to, you know, hear you, and allows their compassion to sort of come out. So, wow, yeah. maybe I think I'll play a song now. I'm going to fade it out actually because this song is 7 minutes and a half. It's just like typical for me, But just because we're talking about that, and this song's called "Tell the Truth" or "Truth."
Great.
I can't say his name properly. Brian Uger's "Oblivion Express" from 1972. Let's check this one out. This is cool. That's a nice track. That I'm just going to fade this out here because it's going to go on for like ever. if I let that go on, it'll be another 4 minutes. But yeah, it's a song about telling the truth and all that. And yeah, I've really enjoyed all this old school stuff. So I'll be sort of playing some of that, but I might need to get a bit more of a balanced music collection here. But there's some really cool stuff in here. It's yeah. There we go. So it's all about telling the truth and being authentic. I think really that's the kind of way forward. Yeah. So what else can we talk about? Do you reckon?
I think now we could talk about power. Actually,
yes,
I think that was a great song to kind of help us move into that. So when I talk about power for this example, it's more about inner strength, like your inner fire, your inner truth. And so I think it's really important to be mindful of what you give your power to. So whether it's an activity you enjoy, then you're giving your power to something that you enjoy, and that's empowering for you. But if it's something that you're just not into and you're kind of just kidding yourself, then you're kind of giving away some of your power. And it could make you feel a bit more deflated, a bit, not great. And the point is that you feel really great, and also the people around you feel great too, because there is a fine line to that. I mean, you could be really euphoric and you could do anything to be euphoric in yourself, whether it means climbing over other people, which is not, that's still like an egocentric sort of strength. So we're looking at a kind of higher self kind of strength, your true nature, your true power. So to get your mind into that kind of space and then speaking your truth, then you're in alignment with your true nature, and also you're bringing power to other people around you as well, because you're showing them that you've got the strength to be yourself. So then that opens up their true nature too. That brings out their power. So it's like the law of resonance, really. It's, when the higher vibration you are, the more you're going to pick other people up, or at least bring out emotions, old baggage of emotions in them, bring that to the surface so then they can have their evolution. Because sometimes high vibe people can really be quite frustrating and annoying for somebody who doesn't want to evolve. It can be like oil and water. This kind of contrast if a person doesn't want to evolve. But I think it's with those kind of people, you kind of should be around them for a certain amount of time, spoon feeding that kind of high vibe energy, because the higher vibe you are, the more enjoyable life is going to be for you, the more lighter your experience is going to be. And everybody has their different timelines, they want to evolve at certain speeds. So but I think ultimately we're all moving towards evolution, really. So just I think we could talk about sort of moments that we've felt really in power, and maybe moments that we've kind of given away some of our power, perhaps. But I wonder if, Riki, you have any stories to do with power that you'd like to talk about.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we often give our power away. Like, for instance, if you think someone knows more than you, or whatever, like knows better, and it's it happens so often with people, doesn't it? And what I've realised is that the soul energy, the soul and the truth of who you are, I like to call it the soul energy. It's sort of, when you're working with someone or a group of people in the right way, or not that there's a right way, but you're not invading their space or intimidating or whatever, but you're not being too withdrawn that they feel like you're not there. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that you don't need power over someone, but you don't need to be so small that you appear insignificant. And I think there's this like healthy balance, and it's not a mental thing, as it's just more so that your presence, the presence of who you are, if you can step into that and be that presence of who you are, other people just naturally feel all right with you. And I think also, what I've been talking about with Mike as well is about not having an agenda all the time on people. And I think when you've dropped that agenda, people just sense, oh, this guy's nice to be around. You know, he's not wanting something from me. He's not wanting my energy. He's not, you know. And I think that's the sense that you're in your power when you feel that you almost feel fulfilled. You know, you feel fulfilled in yourself, and so you're not really needing much from the world. And I feel like I'm moving more and more into that sort of space. You know. And that's really cool because you're not making a demand on others, or, you know, wanting them to make you feel powerful. Anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
Make me feel powerful by, you know, giving me all your attention.
That's just the flip side of weakness, really, you know.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of clawing for the power from external sources in a way.
And ultimately, we're ultimately powerful, but when I think of power, you know, that we're ultimately powerful, it's more so that it's almost like we have an incredible depth. You know, we don't need to be, feeling really, really strong and powerful. It's more like knowing that energy's there, and it gets used in whatever way it needs to in any moment, you know. And in one moment, you might need to be powerful in the sense that you're vocally powerful. You know, you're able to express your truth vocally, or in another way you might need to be powerful in the sense that you can bring a strong sense of presence to a place or a group, you know, and say nothing, you know. There's my thoughts on that.
That's great. I think that's really interesting. There was something I wanted to talk about with the sort of mentality of power, actually. But what I was going to say is gone, so I will talk about a different story. One of my stories with power, actually, is quite a funny one. Me and my mother actually were going on a sort of a long hike, a sort of pilgrimage along the southwest coastal walk.
Oh yeah.
The coastal path.
Yeah, beautiful.
And you know, we were so in our power, you know, so like anything is possible.
Wow.
We had tons of arguments though, because of all this old stuff, like old disagreements are coming up. So we had so many arguments, but it was a different kind of argument. It wasn't sort of hurting each other for the benefit of yourself feeling better or a little bit lighter, because that's illusion. It was more sort of a feeling of honesty, you know, just saying it as it is. Like, how do you actually feel, and just expressing that and not feeling any sort of regret or because you're kind of wanting to move the situation on, so you're being as honest as possible.
Yes.
Just to get it out there, you know, and then it's gone. It's not for any kind of agenda. You were talking about agenda earlier. That kind of ties in with that. There's no agenda. You're just expressing from the heart, even though it might be from an angry tone or like a strong tone, let's say, rather than angry, but just a very focused and intense energy. And we were just getting all this out, and it was just amazing, just really being in that kind of power. But there was also moments where we kind of were falling out of power. Like, for example, we were sort of wild camping a lot, and one time we were thinking, there probably isn't somewhere to stay tonight, and we were thinking about getting a place at a campsite or something. And so my mum was asking about it and like the costs and everything, and she was kind of going, oh yeah, okay, that's not too bad, sort of thing. And I know she's not really expressing herself, like, that's way too much money just to camp somewhere. And already I can see like her eyes sort of glossing over, and her voice getting a bit sort of shallower and kind of not as energized, which is fine. That's just a signal that things are changing in her system. But I knew I had to like snuff her out. So it was like, after she'd finished talking and she was thinking about getting the place, I was like, no, we can go on forever. We'll find somewhere to go. And, and I was really, really energized by that, like staying awake and not sort of, falling into that trap of being somewhere that you don't agree with the price, and kind of, deep down there could have been a place you could have camped. It's just denying yourself of the truth. In your heart the truth at the end of the day. You just gotta be open to that. Sorry, you go.
I think that guilt, plays into this a lot. When people feel guilty or shameful, often they can think, well, I shouldn't express this. This is bad. That's bad, and that sort of judgment of self. Then you end up suppressing a lot. And I mean, I've seen people. We've all seen people fly off the handle, and often it is when they feel bad. They feel whatever, someone is judging them or whatever. So that definitely plays in a lot.
Yeah, that can be it too. Yeah, a mental thing. I'll come back to this story of power in a second. I just want to quickly move into that. The kind of mentality of judgment, actually. You could be thinking all day long somebody is judging you, but they might not have an inkling of judgment in them. And it's just you fooling yourself. It's ridiculous. At the end of the day, it's you judging yourself.
Yes,
that's what it is. I learned that in university. Actually, I had swapped courses, and I don't know. It's quite turbulent when you make such a leap like that, and you kind of wonder if it is the right decision and everything. So already your mind's kind of playing games with you. And so, I thought, moving into this new class, nobody wants to talk to me, all this victimism stuff. And I just thought people would judge me. And so I was naturally not naturally, but I made the decision just not to kind of be very social in a sense, kind of being blind to that fact as well. But eventually I awakened up to it. But I just thought, everybody's judging me and everything. But it only took a friend and kind of my own awareness to realize, it was just me judging myself, and I was just creating my own reality of isolation in that sense, because I was just locking myself away in this illusion. And kind of, in a way, because that was in my space of thought, I was kind of doing that to other people. I was kind of judging them. Judging me.
Yes, that's very true.
It's just one of those things that you just got to break free of and realize.
I mean, these things aren't always the most easy, are they? It just reminded me of I can remember driving somewhere with my dad, and he was like, "You don't know where you're going, do you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." It's just. It's the next right sort of thing, I just got the last one wrong sort of thing. And he's like, you don't know what you're doing. And I was just felt like, bugger it, Well, if it's like that, just you just drive, so I really reacted. I was just like, it's like the idea of people losing faith in me or something, like that's one of my things where I react. It's like, yeah, whatever, you're right, I don't know anything, And then, he's getting lost. And I'm like, well,
in a way, that's quite a release, though. That's quite a release to just put your hands up and say, okay, if you think that way, then you take the harness for a while and see where it goes. Because some people would just argue all day long that they would know where they're going, and in the end, it would just be uncomfortable for both people. So you kind of that was a release for you, I guess.
Because it's certain people you feel more sort of suppressed in certain ways, and it's the last years has been learning to be better expressing, and I think that's cool, rather than letting things build up. So and
a way to do that is, I would recommend, is playing music. You would know probably more than anybody. It's such a great way of being vulnerable around people, because when you play music, it's straight from the heart. You cannot really play music rhythmically unless it's from the heart. And I've played music early on when I just got into music, sort of playing it with certain people, and I'll be on the flute, and I'll be in a certain person's company, and it would go like there would be no sort of tune initially, and then I would slowly get into it. But in other spaces, other people's company, I could go straight into the heart and play it so beautifully. So yeah, it's interesting when you've got these hidden what did I say? Hidden unresolved contracts of people. Like disconnections, I would say. And usually they're very much tied into the family, because the people that you're most closest to, so you kind of have a lot of experiences with them, good and bad. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy, isn't it? And I can see why a lot of people break from the family. I mean, I've heard of people completely won't talk to their family at all, and I think when it's to that extreme, it's I think the person needs to work on sort of healing in themselves. I don't think we should have to be around a family all the time, but obviously too much the other angle is saying something's a bit wrong there, sort of thing. But yeah, it's all really interesting. I think I'll play this other track here. This, if you don't mind, this is Life is a Rainbow. This band is called Shanjo, I think is the right way to say them. It's another 70s band, and it's a Latin sort of heavy rock, but this track is more gentle, and I just really like, because it's like life is a rainbow and positive feeling. It's a bit like Santana. Let's check this out. Life is a Rainbow by Shanjo. This is like really rare stuff here. This is the obscure world that I got caught into when I was living in my room literally for years downloading stuff, you know. glad I've come out of that world in a way, but it was good because I found so much music, you know, and it's as we say, music often people get out the way of their mind and the truth comes forward, you know, the power of who they are comes forward in the music, like we were saying before, which I really love. And being a musician myself, playing a lot of music and just really trying to get into that zone. My mission, I suppose, is to bring through the spirit into music, and that's what we were just talking about just before. You still around, Brandon?
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
Brilliant. Yeah, what do you make of that sort of stuff? That sounds a bit like Santana. It's,
yeah, I love it. Life is a rainbow.
Life is a rainbow. Yeah, pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, all the colours. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I like that.
There's that Robin who does artwork around Glastonbury. He's doing lovely, beautiful rainbow pictures and that, which we were putting in our videos. With this crazy band that I started with a guy called Alistair who plays the drums, which you know. And the band's called, in his words, it's like with a tribal, funky love beats.
Love beats.
I was just like, yeah, all right, mate, if you want to call it that. I'm not going to argue, actually, because it does sound kind of cool, you know.
Nobody argues with Alistair.
I know, I just thought, yeah, you got it. At least it sounds humorous to me, you know, it's kind of cool, so.
Yeah, it's straight from the heart. That's all that counts, yeah.
I agree. And, I'm learning to not take things so seriously in the last years, you know, it's not. It depends what you've been through in life, I think, as well, and those of us who've had difficult sort of, you know, experiences. I've seen a lot of people who've shut down. You know, I'm sure you have as well, and it's like, it's beautiful to see when someone, you know, finds their self again, and you see them, you know, truly being upbeat. You know, not just upbeat because they've got drunk or or because they've done whatever, you know, but actually someone who is truly returning back to that light within them. And I think that's what it's all about for me on this path, is sort of returning to that and living from that state, because as we said, it only doesn't just affect us, it affects everybody in our lives in a positive way. And I do feel that really most people that we know, you know, who love us especially, they just want to see the best for us, you know, although they might, you know, seem judgmental at times. A lot of it's actually coming from care. And, you know, for instance, people in my family sometimes, you know, I've learnt to take the things that they're saying as actually, I just care about you. That's what they're trying to say, really. It's just that it comes out in a way which might be slightly annoying at times.
Yeah, as long as you know what's behind the words. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the gift, isn't it? To be able to read, you know, people well.
What's that, sorry?
That's the gift, you know, being able to read people well and what the truth is of what they're trying to say. And I like to talk about Lemuria at times, you know, like the ancient times. And I'm not saying they existed or didn't, but I sense that, you know, there was a culture or group of people who were more in tune and open, you know. And with those people, they sensed the truth of each other, and you didn't always need to hear the words, you know, you could really feel where someone's coming from. And I just want to say that I feel that's the world that I'm moving into right now, where I literally just know who I should be talking to and who I shouldn't, you know. I just know who's the right person to have around me in my life, and who I should just keep sort of at a distance, just say hello here and there, you know. And I think so many people get pulled off path being around the wrong sort of people for them, you know, who sort of pull them into unhealthy situations, you know. And although I did love being in Glastonbury recently, like, it's been really cool coming back here, this is a place near Bridport in Dorset, which is just, I'm basically living in the middle of nowhere in a static caravan, and I'm looking out across the valley, you know. And while initially I was like, oh, I'm on my own, you know, you've got no friends, it's like this place is serving its time. And it's about, I suppose what I'm trying to say, it's about not worrying about being alone, or you know, only having a couple of really good friends and people that you truly connect with, because you know, we've only got limited time in life anyway. And I think just that forging these connections, these more beautiful connections with people that serve a higher purpose is what it's at. So don't know what you feel about all that.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, I think especially now more than ever, people are coming into their alignment. They're coming into contact with people that Mother Earth or Spirit has always been trying to connect them with. With this pandemic that, well, if you want to call it a pandemic that's going on, that's fine. It's kind of put people in that space where they kind of got this time to reflect on, okay, who am I? What are my interests? What do I love? And can I just be in this world? And the answer is yes, you can just be. You can just be here right now, just breathing and enjoying the birds and the sun. It's really all there is, to be honest. You know, you don't have to keep doing things all the time to make yourself or other people think of you as a valuable asset or something. You know, you can just be here enjoying like where you've arrived. And already you've got a state of appreciation, a state of love that goes so high, and you're just a shining light for people. You've effortlessly just completed your mission. The birds do it every morning. They just sing and they just fly about and they just potter around, you know.
It's so true.
It's all there is. It's all there is.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. And I feel like now everybody's just coming into that awareness. It's just, everything is just going to be so fun and enjoyable and so free, because the whole world is coming into this. It's not just individuals. It's no longer a sort of, I wouldn't say battle, but a feeling of isolation for the people that want to go into this light. You know, it's happening planetarily. So we're all in this together, and we're all moving together, and it's just very exciting and very fun.
Well, I think that's really important, because people have been trying so hard. You know, there's been this sense of sort of urgency sort of every day, I think, for a lot of people. You know, I get up, I've got to do whatever, and I've got this mission to do, and I've got this, you know, work quota to complete. And it's always been the agenda of sort of trying to get to point B, you know. and I've been learning as well that like my happiness is not found in where I'm trying to get to, but in actually, you know, the experience and the process itself. And I think I've realized also recently, which is really beautiful, that, you know, I mean, not that we don't know it, but this life experience in itself is beautiful, and you don't always see it when you're so preoccupied with getting from point A to B. I used to listen to Eckhart Tolle a lot, you know, and his Power of Now and his A New Earth books and all that, which was really cool, and about being present in the moment. But I feel like it's taken it to a new sort of level for me, and it's like I realise the inherent beauty in this life, and that this life itself is the gift. And I think once you truly realise that, you know, it's like having a body as a gift, being present and here as a gift, then it's like, you know, you don't want to really be living this life where you're trying to get to point B all the time, or trying to, you know, you're floating off into your mind and, you know, a fantasy world in order to get away from the real world, you know, because the real world itself ends up being full of magic for you, you know, because you feel that that your spirit, that there's a goodness within this spirit, and there's maybe even that your ancestors are guiding, or at least there by the side of you. You feel there's a sense of, what's the word for it? It's like when you feel protected in a way, and I think your own soul protects you. And there's other timelines where I felt the opposite of that, where like when I was drinking and smoking, I felt like I was going down into a black hole, and I was not being protected, and that not so good life experiences would happen because I was less in control of my sort of life, sort of thing. So it's just so good, I suppose, is just to be on this path and feel like you're at least sort of, not that you can grade this in levels, but I feel halfway sort of there. I feel enough past the pain, or able to deal with the pain enough that I'm getting in the flow of life. And I think that's what it's about. It's like there's a river of life, and when you're in the flow of it, it's bloody beautiful. I want to say it's fucking beautiful, actually. It really is.
Yeah.
And and that's not just in a way like, like a lot of people think, oh, it's just a hippie thing. People just say life's beautiful, man. But we're talking like, no, life is beautiful in a real way. We feel truly connected to life, and when you do sense that you're aligned with your soul, there's a feeling that you can't go wrong. And I've been feeling that certain days. It's like, yeah, like you just know that you trust yourself as well. That's another thing. When you trust yourself to make, good decisions, you feel like you're in your power enough, that you won't go too far off path anymore. That's where I'm at, I think.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's where the gratitude comes.
Yeah. Until that gratitude is there, I don't think a person can get into that flow, because if it's always a goal that needs to be achieved for you to then feel that you're enough,
yeah,
then it's never going to get there. It's always going to be the next thing. There was what did the Dalai Lama say? Something about future, past, and present. About people living in the future and past and never really living at all because they've never lived in the present. There was a certain thing he said, but that was kind of the gist of it. It was tied into money, actually, because money is a bit of a polarity-based currency. It's kind of it's orientated on past and future, debt and
good point.
Settling debt. There's an amazing person who's kind of took this really far. He's got a blog called Zero Currency, I think it was called .blogspot.com. Daniel Suelo, he's an American, and he's been living without money for more than 12 years, I think.
Right.
And yeah, he has incredible things to say about free economy and just living without money, really. So yeah, worth checking out for the audience if you want to look into that more.
I'll check into that. Yeah, because I just feel, what's the word? Just like the whole system, the way it is right from the roots. This system that we're living in could do with sort of fundamentally changing gradually. Because obviously, all in one go might be a bit forceful. But the message I was getting was that Mother Earth herself was saying, "Come back to me." That was the clear sort of voice I was hearing, and that was especially at this time. So I guess what I was seeing there was that we would slowly take our power away from the corporations and feeding the guys at the top, because it's not so much, I don't think, the corporations that's the issue. It's the people at the top, the bankers and above or whatever. But I don't usually get into that stuff. But the point is that obviously our choices right now are affecting the way the whole works, and I think people often tend to think they're insignificant, but really what we do now, and the personal healing is part of that, what we do affects the future and the whole, and it's our attitude that needs to change really in a big way on the global scale, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking that responsibility back, our health, we're no longer giving it to necessarily the doctors in the hospitals. We're kind of, what can I do for myself right now? And I have the ability to heal myself. Some people need a bit of guidance. That's fine. It won't go on forever, that guidance. You'll have your own inner guidance that will be awakened. You'll remember that. And then you won't need anybody else to kind of continue your journey in your alignment. Because everything you've ever needed, you already know. It's just about remembering that.
Spot on, yeah. I've got a smile while you're saying that. It's like my truth is smiling, going, yep. Yeah, and I think it's really good in that, because you can, once you know that, you can sort of let the pressure off a bit, because it's like, yeah, I know I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it.
Yes.
Spot on. Well, we got 4 minutes left here. I don't know whether to go out with a song or what do you feel? Anything else you feel like you want to say?
No, I think that was a great. Cool. Yeah, our conversation was amazing, and I hope it helps people. And I just want to say I love you all before we finish this call.
Wonderful.
I love you, Riki, for helping me to sort of join you on this conversation and being a part of this radio show.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and we'll get you back at some point again as well.
That'd be great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that. What we're going to do is we're just going to